What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here with a very, very special guest. You may have seen him before. We have the one and only, I'll call him the graphic extraordinaire. That's what I'm going to call him today. We got Thomas from CatchTheBlitz. You may know CatchTheBlitz, the brand from Instagram. I know they're trying to heat up on TikTok right now, but we'll discuss their brand and where they're going here. Make sure that you do follow them. I left their YouTube link in the description if you want to subscribe over there to their YouTube, but they're on basically every platform: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you are at. Go follow Thomas. Before we get started, man, just let me know how you're doing, Thomas, and let me know, and the people know, how you're feeling about the NFL entering Thanksgiving week.
What's going on, Mitch? Great to be here. Appreciate that little introduction there. I'm feeling good. American Thanksgiving is here. And you know what they say, this is when it starts to count. So we can throw everything we've seen the past 11 weeks out the window. This is when, it gets a little bit tougher in the season. So it's an exciting time for sure. Pumped to talk about this week's games with you. And I would say I'm pumped to revisit our preseason draft, but I'm a little nervous because a lot of my picks haven't aged well. But thanks for having me today.
Yeah, we're going to get to that in just a second. Make sure everybody that's tuning in, don't forget to spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new for weekly NFL picks just like this. And spike that notification bell for the latest upload. Everybody keeps telling me, Thomas, I got to put him back to the Patriots, but I'm still not giving up hope that Gronk is going to come back at some point.
Yeah, if we're talking legacy, it's got to be a Pats uniform, but I don't know. We no one knows except for Gronk when he's really done.
Nobody knows. A shout out to everybody in the chat, guys. Let us know who you think's going to win. Let us know which Thanksgiving game you're most excited for, and we'll definitely get to any questions you have in terms of maybe Thomas's Miami Dolphins. Let's look at the Miami Dolphins in that team draft that you had. I believe we did it in August, maybe late August-ish. I don't really remember, but let's look at it. So we have Team Thomas here. Thomas, just give me your raw reactions. I'm not even going to get on you yet. Look at the top of the board right there with Thomas's selection.
Oh man. I think the strategy going in was, I thought the NFC was weaker. So I'm like, let me get a couple of the good teams. And I know one of them is going to go to the Super Bowl. The Rams are going to be, it's not even their draft pick, but it's going to be a top 5 pick. Cup's going to be done for the season. I wouldn't be surprised if they shut down Stafford for a little bit here. This is embarrassing. I mean, I make up for it a little later by getting some good value with the Dolphins, the Titans, even the Jets, round 15. Look at that. Who would have thought taking the Jets after the Texans?
Yeah.
But the Broncos, disaster. The Panthers, one of the worst teams in football. So, I mean, it's not the best look from me. But if there's one thing I was right on, and I have to say this because I'm on your channel today, I was right about those Miami Dolphins. So we'll take that as a win.
That's a dub for you. But I mean, I'm looking at the right side of the board, and I'm looking at the left side of the board. And I think the right side might have as many wins as the left side. I mean, you got Seattle, last pick is unreal, to be honest. They're probably going to make the playoffs. Jets, I don't think are going to make the playoffs, but they might end up with a winning record. You got the Commanders, who are starting to heat up. The Titans, Mike Vrabel, again, underestimated by even me, who loves Mike Vrabel. And then you got the Miami Dolphins. So look at that right side and compare it with the Broncos, the Saints, the Packers, the Rams. I mean, the Chiefs might save you. The Bucks could heat up here. We'll talk about that. And the Cowboys are heating up. But it's interesting, Thomas. Let's compare it to what I did, which I was feeling really good about my draft a couple of weeks ago. But I've fallen back. I was dominant early. We've fallen back maybe a little bit closer together because of your late round selections. But my picks here, Buffalo Bills. I mean, that was kind of an easy pick. That was the Super Bowl favorites. I could have went with Tom Brady and the Bucks there. That was my second choice. Luckily, I did go with the Bills. I think they've kind of hit their soft spot right now where they hit that decline. I think they're about to incline once again here shortly, but Buffalo, I think, still has a chance to win that Super Bowl this year. Chargers, I was buying the hype. You were buying the hype. I know you were really into the Chargers as well, and you were actually angry I took them in that spot. So I'm not really loving that right now. I thought they would be better. I thought they would be healthier, but the Chargers are never healthy, Thomas. Round 3.
It's a solid team.
Yeah, the 49ers. I'm really happy about that one right now. Didn't start off so well, but we know the 49ers are not a pick for the regular season. They're a pick for the postseason. We know that. The Eagles, happy about that pick. Started off the year with the best record in the league. Ravens, I'm happy about that, but I do feel like they have... I think they'll make the playoffs. I don't know. Where do you stand on the Ravens right now?
I mean, if you look at their 3 losses, they should very, very easily and very, very well have been wins. But I also haven't seen enough in their, like, they just beat the Panthers, and it's almost like they're just coasting right now. And Lamar is great. He's a special player. But does he really have a core around him that can threaten, the great defenses of the AFC and keep up with the great offenses of the AFC? And I just don't think so. So this team will go as far as Lamar carries them to, which I think is possible. But right now, I need to see a little bit more.
Yeah, I kind of agree on that. We'll talk about their game a little bit later. Vikings started off really well, probably going to win their division. So love that for me, but I don't know. I feel like they've been a little overrated. I've been lucky to get a couple of victories here. Colts, that wasn't a very good pick. I feel like if they stuck with Matt Ryan, they might have one more win or whatever, but they don't. The Raiders, round 8, bust pick. That's fine. I'm not going to be too mad about that. Round 9, Patriots. You were never going to pick them. I probably should have picked them in round 16 but I still got them, and they've been playing well. Cardinals, not too great either. Jacksonville, they should be way better than they are. I know you guys posted a stat like they have a positive point differential, but they have 3 wins or something.
Yeah, crazy.
Steelers, Mike Tomlin pick, Browns, we'll see at the end of the year what they can do. Bears, it was looking good there for a minute, and then they just fell off. Giants, that's been a nice pick. Falcons have been a nice pick. Falcons were looking like they might even steal the division at one point. I don't think that's going to happen anymore, but both those teams were steals. So look like this is just the type of year right now, Thomas, where these teams at the bottom of the league that everyone expected to be at the bottom of the league, that's the biggest thing I learned from this draft here, is they're a lot better than anyone would have expected. Which one surprised you the most so far?
I think I'm going to go with, the Seahawks are a huge surprise because of how good they were, but I had zero confidence in the Atlanta Falcons going into the season, and I mean zero. So the fact that, they haven't been as good as the Seattle Seahawks, but they've been competitive in every game. They're playing hard, and they're doing it in weird ways. If you told me that, the Falcons had 5 wins through 11 weeks or whatever, I would have said, wow, Kyle Pitts must be the offensive player of the year, and they haven't even used him, who I think is probably their best weapon and best player. So I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons. If I'm a Falcons fan, I'm happy with Arthur Smith and the new regime thus far.
Yeah, so we will, at the end of the year, find out who wins the team draft. I don't know if I think we decided it was going to be some sort of Tua video versus some sort of Patriot.
Mac Jones sort of content that we have to do.
Yes, okay.
So
we'll see. It'll be fun. We'll see what happens. The playoffs are going to decide everything. Josh asks, what kind of ranking was that? So obviously Josh didn't watch the video in the preseason. So if you guys don't know what that was, it's basically a team draft before the year where we draft every team in the NFL, and then you add up points towards the end of the year after the Super Bowl, and the winner gets a prize of some sort. So we'll keep tracking that. It was me versus Thomas. Okay, in terms of the picks, this is how we're looking right now entering week number 12. Last week, we had a very successful week here on the show. I had some competition on the show. I think I rose up because of the competition. I was 11-2 straight up, 9-4 versus the spread. Overall, 99-63. So our record's getting better. And our spread record is, I think, pretty impressive. 73-3. So far, pretty good. The beginning of the year was a little bit rough, but we have bounced back big. So let's see if we can continue that versus Thomas this week on the channel. All right.
That's a pretty impressive record. If I knew you had that good of a record, especially against the spread, I don't know if I would have agreed to come on today. So hats off
Oh,
for
he's
that one.
building me up. Now he's going to crush me. He's going to crush me. Watch this. Thank you so much, Kaylee, for the $50 super chat. That is absolutely amazing. Thank you, Kaylee. Thank you so much. She says, cheers. Appreciate that. $50. Kaylee coming through clutch. Hopefully my picks can help you on this Thanksgiving, Kaylee, and maybe listen to Thomas. Okay. Let's go. Let's start off with game number uno. And that is the Buffalo Bills at the Detroit Lions. The Lions have surged as of late. A 3-game winning streak, Thomas. A 3-game winning streak. That hasn't happened in years for the Detroit Lions. I don't remember the last time that happened. If you know, let me know. But the Lions getting 9.5 at home, Thanksgiving. Usually they stink on Thanksgiving. They do have some injuries up front on the offensive line. They do have some injuries in the secondary. Jeff Okudah out. So there are some things to worry about with this team in this particular matchup. Buffalo also has injuries on the defensive line. Gregory Rousseau. Still don't have Trey White back. That will be intriguing because they haven't been able to cover number 1 receivers. Amari Cooper went off again last week. And Josh Allen's been looking a little funky. Not quite like himself because of that injury, I think. Where do you stand on this game? I think the spread is kind of tricky. Where do you land here?
Generally, whenever you get a short week, I usually like, and if it's a big spread like this, I'll usually take the team to cover, which would put me somewhere along the Detroit plus 9.5. That's just they're at home. It's a short week. I know Buffalo played in Ford Field last week, so they're a little more comfortable there. But the Bills have really not impressed me in the past couple of weeks. And you mentioned Josh Allen's injury, and then you look shaky. I don't know. And Dan Campbell has these boys playing. And I've been on the Lions from the beginning of the year. I haven't really lost hope. I still like them. But those injuries on the offensive line are very, very concerning. It's a tricky one. And like you said, Detroit on Thanksgiving has not done too well over the past couple of years. But, hey, their team's also been really bad. And I think this is a better team than we've seen before. So I'm sort of leaning Detroit against the spread, Buffalo to win in that territory. Okay. But also Buffalo in the past has just been a team that when they win, they blow teams out. So like you said, it's a tricky one. But it's a Thanksgiving tradition that we all get to enjoy the Detroit Lions at 12:30 Eastern.
Oh, yeah. Thanksgiving tradition that we absolutely adore. That is for sure. The last time the Lions won 3 in a row, it was in 2017. Shout out to Jake Hedge for that. So not in the Jared Goff era. And we look at this game, 9.5. I think you're right. It's real hard to decide whether to take the Lions or the Bills. And that's why, spoiler alert, this game probably won't be on my best bets. But the Buffalo Bills, I'm going to go with them here both ways. And the reason is I think there's some crucial injuries for the Lions on the offensive line. And I think their offense, their engine of their offense is through that offensive line. The ability to run the ball, the ability to dictate the game through their running game. Jamal Williams having a great year. And with a couple guys out there, I don't think they're going to be able to control the running game as well as they would like, which I think puts Jared Goff in some uncomfortable situations, 3rd and long, 2nd and longs. And I think the Bills do feast in those situations defensively. So I don't expect the Lions to score as many points as maybe other people do with this high total of like 54.5 or whatever it is. Offensively for the Bills, I think they move the ball. This Lions defense, I'm not quite buying. I think they've been feasting based on turnovers, not based on, actual defensive success. And the injury to Jeff Okudah does scare me when facing Stephon Diggs. So I think this is a big show up performance for Josh Allen and the Bills, where they showcase that they're a top dog, and it's a big national game. So I think they do that. And I could see them winning, even if they win by 10 here, let's say 34-24, they'd still cover the spread. So I'm going to take, if it was, that 10 I think is a big deal in this type of game. So I'll take the Bills minus the 9.5. Again, not going to be one of my best bets, but some of the injuries do scare me there. Okay. Next up, we've got the Dallas Cowboys minus the 10 at home versus the New York G-Men, the Giants. I thought this game was going to be like really interesting. I thought this game was going to be really fun. But now everyone's on the Cowboys. Speaking of, we've got Christian in the chat from Catch the Blitz. He did perfect timing for me to rant about the Cowboys. No, I'm just kidding. Thomas, where do you land on this game? Dallas, New York. Let me know.
Yeah, it's funny. We were talking just before we started, just off air, about how Dallas on Thanksgiving the past couple of years hasn't been too hot. But at the same time, the way they've been playing in the past couple of weeks, it's very hard for me to not lean towards, like you just did with Buffalo, taking them both, for me to lean to Dallas on both and go, take the Cowboys straight up and take the minus 10. So I don't know. They're doing so many good things in so many different ways right now. I think having Zeke Elliott back last week and having that combo with Tony Pollard was really, really something that put the league on notice that this is a dangerous rushing attack when you can keep both of them fresh. And then you got Dak Prescott just playing very, very efficient football right now. So I don't know if the Cowboys are going to be able to slow down the Cowboys. Sorry, I don't know if the Giants are going to be able to slow down the Cowboys offense. Yeah. And I sure know that the Giants offense won't be able to keep up with the Cowboys in terms of, if this game turns into a shootout. So I do like Dallas both ways. I think it's finally time that they put in a good performance on Thanksgiving. Obviously, they lost to the Raiders last year in disappointing fashion. I think the Commanders was 2 years ago when they got blown out. So it's time for a win for the Cowboys.
Okay. I don't know what to do with the spread. The spread scares me. 10 points? Dallas? Haven't been able to win on Thanksgiving, never mind cover, Thomas? Are you kidding me? But then you talk about, okay, the Giants, the offensive line beat up. Bunch of new combination. They got 4 guys injured. So you got a terrible offensive line facing Micah Parsons and this Cowboys D-line. And although I think they're missing a couple players on that defensive line, depth players, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. They got DeMarcus Lawrence. They got Micah Parsons. They got enough there. They got Dorrance Armstrong there. So I think they'll be able to definitely get after Daniel Jones like they did in the first game. And then you talk about the Giants' defensive struggles have really come down to they can't stop the run that well. I think that's been something that's been overlooked for a lot of weeks, and I think they're like 31st, something like that, in yards per carry allowed, which is not very good. So I could see Tony Pollard, I could see Zeke having a big day in this game, and then with more injuries, again, Giants just injured all over, battered and bruised at this time of the year. They've been overcoming it all. I just don't know if they're able to overcome the talent of the Cowboys here with their first corner, their second corner out of the game. So I do lean towards the Cowboys both ways. It scares me a lot because I don't want to be betting on the Cowboys to cover 10 points after a huge, dramatic, epic, emotional victory over the Vikings. It scares me, and I'm not going to be betting it. But on the show, I'll take Dallas to win the game. Because of the injuries to the Giants, I think we've reached peak Giants. I think the Giants are coming down right now. And I don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs. Where do you stand on that? Do you think they're going to follow the playoff picture? Or do you think they're still going to make it?
I mean, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but they still have to face the Commanders twice.
Yeah.
So those
and I think they still play the Eagles twice too.
Yeah. So those 4 divisional games are going to be very telling. I do expect them to probably lose both against the Eagles, but I mean, the Eagles haven't really looked that hot either the last 2 weeks. I mean, we'll see. Those November, December games against teams in similar places you in the standings are so important, and they can really swing the season. But the way they played the past couple weeks, I'm not as confident as I once was in the New York Giants. But I do remember looking at their schedule in about week 4 and saying, oh my gosh, maybe this isn't a fluke, and maybe they're going to win a whole bunch of games against some bad opponents. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think for the Giants to pull this out, I think they need a huge Saquon performance, and I think they need to somehow, some way, just cause some havoc on defense, blitz Dak, create some pressure to the point where maybe there's a couple turnovers that swing this game. I think that's the avenue for them to win the game. Okay. The final Thanksgiving game, the nightcap, so to speak. We've got the New England Patriots. My New England Patriots, Thomas. And I find it funny because every time I have Thomas on the show, because he's a Miami fan, and I always like comment on your guys' posts, like something about the Patriots, just to kind of like get you going a little bit. But I feel like you guys think I'm like super Homer Patriots fan because I play it up when you're here, but I'm really not. I just play it up a lot. But this is Patriots at Vikings. Vikings favored by 2.5. It started at 3, went down to 2.5. Some people betting on the Patriots here. On the road after a game that I felt, it was 10-3 final score. It ended on a punt return. Obviously, it was Bill Belichick football. I thought they played a lot better than the final score indicated. They kind of dominated the game in a lot of ways. So I think New England's playing good ball, especially on defense. I think you could argue they might have the best defense in football right now. Matt Judon's playing out of his mind. Secondary's playing well. And they played the worst defense here, the Minnesota Vikings, that they've played in weeks, it feels like. But the Vikings have the better record. The Vikings are at home. The Vikings are coming off a game where they were embarrassed. And the Vikings have Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook, playmakers the Patriots don't have. Where do you go here, Thomas, in this game?
I do like the Vikings in a bit of a bounce back spot. I won't lie to you. I agree with what you said. The 10-3 scoreline wasn't as indicative of how the Patriots played offensively last week. I do think they deserved a little bit more than literally no touchdowns. But the fact is, I don't think they have those true game changers that can sometimes just take over and get you those points when you need it most. I love the Ramondre Stevenson, what he's done this year, and I still believe in sort of that philosophy of football. Win through the trenches, tough, hard running. I like how the Patriots play. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little sour that you guys have 4 weeks in a row of primetime games. I think that maybe that's a little bit excessive.
I don't know. I don't really love that, though. I don't love it. It's too much attention, Thomas. We need to fly under the radar. Patriots are at their best when they're under the radar, Thomas. We don't need it.
Yeah. Justin Jefferson last week was pretty much blanketed by Stephon Diggs. I think he had 3 catches for 36 yards, somewhere around that number.
Trayvon Diggs. Don't confuse
Sorry, did I say Stephon?
Yeah, you did.
That does not happen very, very often. And usually when it does happen, he follows it up with a pretty big game. The Patriots secondary has been a very nice story this year. It's classic Belichick again, finding supposedly guys out of nowhere and turning them into some really, really productive players. But I do like Jefferson in a primetime spot to come up big, just like he did 2 weeks ago against Buffalo. So I am on the Vikings, and I think I'm on the -2.5 as well, even though, it feels like a bit of a trap, especially how the number came down, but I'll go with them regardless.
Yeah, so this is where I say I don't want to sound like a homer, okay? But I'm actually kind of ridiculously confident entering this game. I don't know why. It kind of reminds me of the Browns game that we played. I just felt really good about the matchup. So we play a Vikings team, and the only thing that's uncomfortable is that it's on the road and that the Vikings are coming off of an embarrassing performance. So they'll be on their P's and Q's. But when you look at the matchup, I feel like Patriots defense is going to hold the Vikings. I don't think they're going to score that many points. I really don't. I think the Vikings offensive line is a problem. They couldn't block the Cowboys last week, and I don't think they're going to block the Patriots. I think the most underrated aspect of the Patriots right now is the amount of pressure they get on quarterbacks without having to blitz. Their 4-man pass rush right now is playing really, really well. And no Christian Darrisaw, I think, is just going to really hurt when facing Matthew Judon, who's getting 2 sacks a game at this point. So I look at that matchup. I think that's really going to hurt the Vikings. If they don't find a way to run the ball, I think they're in a lot of trouble because I think Belichick, as good as Justin Jefferson is, finds a way to kind of take or limit those guys. I don't think he's going to make some plays, but I don't think he's going to have a huge, epic game. And I think the Patriots defense just matches up well up front, which is going to dictate that game. And Kirk Cousins, primetime Kirk Cousins, is going to turn us the ball over, and we're going to capitalize. Now, offensively, I also look at this Vikings defense, and I think it's the easiest defense the Patriots have faced in weeks. They faced the Jets twice in a row. They faced the Colts, who I don't think the Chiefs didn't even score 20 points on the Colts. So 3 weeks in a row, 3 games in a row, we've played really top defenses. And I think the Patriots offense, because of that, has looked disgustingly awful. So I think the Patriots run the ball a bit on the Vikings, hit some plays through play action. And like I said, I think a couple turnovers will help as well. I think New England wins this game, and I'm going to take the 2.5. This will probably be my big bet for Thanksgiving. Obviously, don't always love betting a lot on my favorite team, but I just feel very confident about this matchup, and I think the Vikings are kind of coming back down to earth after a really bad performance against the Cowboys.
I like it. I don't know if we've picked different. Did you end up picking the Giants to cover?
No, I picked the Cowboys both ways. So I think we're the same on the count. I think that's bad news, though, that we both picked.
Yeah, probably.
But we'll lose together. All right, let's move to Sunday. We've got the Atlanta Falcons and the Washington Commanders. The Commanders, somehow, some way, are laying 4.5. Now, Commanders have been playing really, really well. As of late, I've been hyping them up for weeks. I think ever since that Packers game, I've been all over the Commanders and how they're playing on defense. I was really critical of them early in the year with how they were playing. Ron Rivera wasn't getting the most out of this defense. All of a sudden, they turned the corner, and they've been playing really well at the line of scrimmage. And offensively, hey, that man Heineken, he just makes big plays, bro. So where are you at with the Washington Commanders and the Atlanta Falcons? An Atlanta team that you said has surprised you the most this year of anybody.
They have surprised me the most, and I actually picked them as one of my best bets of the week to cover the spread yesterday on the CTV show.
Okay.
So there's my answer right away. I don't know if they're going to win. That one I'm a little bit still undecided, but I do like it to be a close game, and I think 4.5 is a little excessive for teams that are very, very close in the standings. But Taylor Heineke's been the missing link in this Washington roster this year. Whatever he does, I mean, it's never flashy, but somehow they find ways to win when he's back there. He gets Terry McLaurin the ball, something that Carson Wentz wasn't doing at all when he was under center. I like the 1-2 punch they have in the backfield. Antonio Gibson is having a better year with less usage than he did a year ago, and Brian Robinson's a nice, mean, physical runner that I think also has a future and could have a long career in the NFL. So I like what Washington's doing right now, but the whole reason I like the Falcons, I know they're on the road, but they just find ways to play in these real tight nail-biter games. And it seems like they can be low-scoring, they can be high-scoring. They really just it's like a different team in terms of how they perform every week, but they're always close games. So I like the Falcons. Washington is rolling right now, so I think I might go Falcons to cover, Washington to win in a classic Atlanta Falcons field goal game. We saw it last week against the Bears. I think the Commanders are a similar team.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. I think you handicapped that perfectly. I think Atlanta plays really close games, and as soon as I saw the line, even at 4, I looked at it and I said, that just seems off to me. That seems like this is peak Washington. You know, we talked about peak Giants. I feel like this is peak Washington. I don't think they're going to be this heavily favored over any team, really, other than maybe the Texans, at any point in the year. And Atlanta's not a bad team. Like we said, Atlanta is still in competition for their division with Tampa Bay. So this is a crucial game for them to win, really. So I look at it and I say, yeah, I agree. Probably Washington to win. I wouldn't be shocked if Atlanta won. The one difference that maybe scares me from Atlanta pulling off the full upset is those two crucial aspects of both teams. Washington is really good against the run. Atlanta runs the ball. That's really what Atlanta wants to do. And I think Washington can slow down Atlanta's running game, but I'm not convinced that Washington is going to put up enough points in this matchup, even against a low-tier, bad defense of Atlanta, to cover 4.5. So I think this is like a 23-20 type of game, and I'll take Washington to win the game at home. But no, I'm not convinced that they're 4.5 points better than an Atlanta team that's still competing for the playoffs. Thank you, Bodo, so much for the happy Thanksgiving. $50 super chat. We're coming in huge here today. That's awesome. I think it's Thomas. I think Thomas has heated this chat up a little bit. I appreciate it, Bodo. Thank you so much. And happy Thanksgiving to you. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there, except for Canadians, because we already had it. All right, let's move on to the Baltimore Ravens and the Jacksonville Jags, which I think is the tricky game of the week. I feel like this game it's rather going to be like Baltimore just blows the doors off Jacksonville, or Jacksonville like wins the game outright. I don't think there's any in between here for this game. What do you think, Thomas?
4 points feels low for a Lamar Jackson-led team against a bad Jaguars team. But at the same time, why do I smell an upset here?
Yeah.
I don't know. I like how we're sort of on the same page that this one just feels weird. I could see Travis Etienne having a big day against the Ravens team that's generally, pretty decent against the run, especially now that they have Roquan Smith in there. I can see Trevor Lawrence having a good day against a Ravens secondary that has struggled at times this season. I'm in a weird space. The Jaguars are a team this year that you just don't want to bet on. I feel like that's
no. I agree. I've been there. I bet them a couple times. I don't think I've been right very many. So
yeah, you think they're turning the corner. That's right when they, to put it frank, they suck. And when you think they suck, that's when they pull off an upset. So it's been a weird year. But you talked about when you're talking about the Vikings, they somehow have a positive point differential. So they have been in close games. I don't know. This is one that I'm very, very back and forth on. I just think to sort of have to make a decision, this is a game the Ravens can't afford to lose. They're battling for their division with the Bengals, and they're battling for, if not a wild card spot in the AFC. There's a lot of good teams in the AFC. You can't afford to drop a game against the Jacksonville Jaguars and expect to win your division.
Mm-hmm. So you're going Ravens straight up?
I'm going to go Ravens straight up. I am. I'm going to take them -4, and I'm going to take them to win on the road.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, so what do I do? Because I just want to beat Thomas, to be honest. I don't really care. I could see this game. So what I'm thinking, offensively, the Ravens haven't looked very good recently. Like, not good at all. Last week, played Carolina. Carolina is a deceptively good defense. I think we've seen that throughout the year. They compete hard, they play well, and they're fast. And Jacksonville's a defense that I do think have similar qualities. They've got good athletes. I think that helps when you play Lamar Jackson because of all the runs, especially to the edges that you have to defend. So having linebackers like Alua Khan and Lloyd certainly help in this matchup. And I don't see much in the passing game for them. I mean, Devin Duvernay hasn't stepped up. Obviously, Bateman's out for the year. Mark Andrews been beat up. But they're coming off a bye. So maybe the Jags are coming off a bye. I was thinking the Ravens for a second. But if Mark Andrews is healthier, maybe he can get that engine rolling, and he's kind of the guy that you need to force the other team to double team to open everything else up, and I haven't really seen that from them lately, and their passing game's really been just bad, just not good. And Jacksonville's weakness, I would say, is against the pass. I think they're better defensively against the run. Offensively, Trevor Lawrence is a wild card. He can make big plays, but he can also turn the ball over, take too many sacks. One pass will be a great ball down the sidelines. One pass will be over the head of his check down. So it's kind of hard to say what they're going to do offensively, Jacksonville, but they've kind of been a steady average offense where they can run it a bit, they can throw it a bit. And I think Jacksonville stays competitive here. I think Jacksonville stays in the game. So I'm certainly going to take the +4. I am contemplating the upset. But because I don't want to lose a pick because I picked Jacksonville to win the game outright versus Baltimore, I'm just going to pick the Ravens to win the game because I trust them more. I trust their kicking situation more. Jacksonville doesn't really know who their kicker is. So Justin Tucker could hit a 60 for the win and end up winning this game. But I do see this game being like a 20-17 type of game. Okay. Next, the Bears and the Jets. Before we get to that, just for Bodo, shout out to Japan and Saudi Arabia for costing me hundreds of dollars, he says. 99.999% of the time, World Cup goes into form. This year has been a crap show as far as betting goes. Oh my goodness. I know the Saudi Arabia one, that caught me off guard big time. I think it was like 99% of bets were on Argentina. So you knew that was bad when we saw that. In terms of Japan, I'm not too surprised by Japan, to be honest with you. Thomas, did you see any of the World Cup so far? Bet anything?
Yeah, actually watched the Canada game today. So
yeah,
it was a tough one. I thought we could have deserved a little better. And
they played well, I thought.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm a pretty big soccer or football, depends where you're from, what you want to call it, fan. So the 5 a.m., I mean, it's even earlier for you out on the West Coast. Start times aren't the best.
Oh my goodness. Like the Argentina game started at like 2 a.m.
2 a.m. Yeah. So those aren't ideal, but I watch when I can.
Yeah. Makes sense. All right. Thanks, Bodo, again for a super chat, and shout out to Caesar, who's been a member for 1 month. That's awesome. All right. So we got the Bears, we got the Jets. Jets favored by 4.5 here. Now we have gotten some news about the quarterback situation. Mike White, your boy Thomas, Mike White will be starting instead of Zach Wilson, immature Zachary Wilson, making just rich white boys look very bad.
Yeah.
The Jets, just play into the stereotype, man. Jets favored mostly probably because of their defense. We don't really know the situation with Justin Fields. I'm not sure if you've heard anything there. Where are you at with this game?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you if we can box games out, because this is one that I
don't do that. I just pick on Wednesday and live with it, bro. I do.
I guess the main reason is that Justin Fields, the status on him, we still don't know. I read on Sunday that we would hear something Wednesday. It's Wednesday today, and I didn't hear anything. So I don't know if I'm not involved enough in the Chicago beat, but it's something I'm going to have to look into. If Justin Fields is playing, I think I might swing to go with the Bears. And I might do that anyways, just counting on him potentially playing through it and playing just because he's proven himself to be the guy there in Chicago, but I just feel like he wants to keep things rolling and keep going this season. And who knows? I think it's very possible a bad team makes the playoffs in the NFL, and the way Chicago's been playing seems like they can win. They keep
losing though.
They keep losing. I know it's very, very unfortunate.
If maybe it was a couple weeks ago, I would agree with you, but it just feels like they're playing well offensively, but they keep losing.
I mean, where I stand with this one, the Jets have a very good defense, but if Justin Fields is playing against a rushing quarterback is just a completely different ballgame. I mean, Miami has had a good defense for the past couple of years. Whenever Josh Allen comes to town, whenever Lamar Jackson comes, I mean, and they take off and run, they're completely lost. Justin Fields, broke the record against them a couple of weeks ago. It's very, very tough to play against a quarterback that can beat you in the air and on the ground. I'm very torn. I almost want to see what you do first, but I think right now I'm going to count on Justin Fields playing. I'm going to take the Bears plus 4.5. You know what? I'm going to take the Jets to win though, because I think this team's going to get a boost from their celebrity quarterback. not only being the backup, he is a healthy inactive, which is a nice slice of humble pie for our friend Zach Wilson.
Where's he watching the game? Is he watching the game on the sidelines or up in the box?
I hope he's watching on the sidelines with, one of those earpieces and he gets to learn a little bit.
And he's going to be chewing his gum like halfway out of his mouth.
Yeah. But I'm going to do what I did similar to the Falcons and Commanders game, where I'm going to take the Bears plus 4.5, but I'm going to take the Jets to win. So I'm banking on a close one.
You've been picking the games first, so I will allow you a couple times on the show if you want to counter me and allow me to pick first, because we won't wait until the end of the week. You can do that. That's totally cool. I'm confident in my picks. All right. So we got the Jets laying 4.5. Don't love it with Mike White, obviously. But I like what you said about the confidence factor, the team bravado factor. I think the notion that, Zach Wilson, even if it's not true, I don't care. Even if it's just the concept and the belief that he is the problem, which I think he is. But even if it's not true, the boost of confidence that the Jets are going to get from that, I think is going to allow them to win this game and to cover this game. Okay. The reason I like the Jets here, even with Justin Fields, is I love the defense. I think the defense is awesome. And the speed of the defense is a real thing. And I think the way they play defense is going to allow them to contain Fields better than other defenses. I don't think they have the issue that some defenses have where they can't contain the edge. They can't, corral that type of quarterback because they don't have the speed. I think the Jets have the team speed on defense to be able to slow down Fields. And I think in a passing situation that heavily favors the Jets with their ability to rush the passer and their ability to cover. They're just a great defense. In terms of offensively, I just think the Patriots defense makes their offense look terrible every time they play them. I don't think they're as bad as they play against New England. You look at how they played against the Bills. Bills are a good defense, objectively. They played pretty well, even with Zach Wilson. So I think the Jets get better offensively in this game against a bad defense, and I think they win this game. So that's my call, is the Jets. You're going the opposite. Let's see what the next game is. The Cincinnati Bengals and the Tennessee Titans, which is a very conflicting game for me personally. This is a tough one. Thomas, do you want to go first here, or do you want me to pick first?
I will go first because this is one that I like, and it's one that I'm not going to flip-flop as I did on the old Jets and Bears. These are the two best teams against the spread in the entire NFL. And really? I believe the Titans have covered 8 weeks in a row. Could be 7, but I believe they've covered 8 weeks in a row. They are playing some really, really good football right now. We all thought after their week 2 blowout against the Bills that their season was over and they wouldn't recover from starting 0-2. Well, they have, and they're right in contention with some of the best teams in the NFL. This is also it is a revenge game, I believe. These two teams met in the playoffs last year. I like the home team. Derrick Henry, I don't know what they're feeding him, but year in and year out, this guy proves that he cannot be stopped. The fact that I get 2 points makes me very, very comfortable to take the Titans against the spread. And I'm also going to take them to win outright against the Bengals. It just feels like one of those games. The Bengals allowing 30 points to the Pittsburgh Steelers a week ago is a little bit concerning. I know it's a divisional game. I know it's on the road, but that didn't really sit right with me. I'm going to take the Titans to pull off the upset. I know it's not a huge upset, but I'm going to take them to get their revenge. So +2 Titans and Titans money line in this one.
Yeah, man, I don't hate that pick at all. I look at Mike Vrabel as right in the conversation as honestly one of, if not the best coach. He's one of the best coaches in the league right now. And the guy just keeps doing it. Like Malik Willis in Arrowhead. Somehow they almost win the game. Like, that's ridiculous. The guy doesn't even know how to play quarterback. So it's unbelievable. But you're playing Zach Taylor here. This is obviously a revenge game from the playoffs. Tennessee's defense, I don't know if you remember. You probably do because it was a playoff game. Whooped the Bengals offensive line.
I think they had 9 sacks, 7 sacks maybe?
9 sacks, something like that. Simmons was unreal, and I felt like the Titans' defensive line and their ability from a scheme perspective to kind of like simulate blitzes where it looks like they're sending more than 4, but it's always 4. It's just a different combination and different stunts up front. Really gave Joe Burrow a ton of issues. I think I like the Titans if Christian Fulton plays and Danico Autry finds a way to play. Right now, they haven't practiced. Those are 2 important players for their defense, I do feel like. And if Jamar Chase doesn't play, I think that was really the big X factor for that playoff game last year was the Bengals really had nothing going for them except the odd like after the catch play to Jamar Chase, and that was about it. I don't expect Chase to play. I'm not sure about those players on defense. It kind of hurts that we're picking this on a Wednesday because it's that close in my opinion. I really want to pick my guy Vrabel, but I am concerned about Joe Burrow and how that offense is playing, throwing the ball down the field. I do think the offensive line has improved from that matchup last year. And P. Ryan, man, looking like 2008 Adrian Peterson versus the Steelers in that game. But you're right about the defense. I think A lot of people are hyping up the Bengals. I'm not confident about that defense. And the Tennessee offense seems to be hitting their stride right now. Something going on with Todd Downing off the field a little bit. So maybe that's a distraction. But Derrick Henry running the ball well. They're running. Tannehill looked great in that game versus Green Bay. I thought he threw the ball well. Burks is playing better. The receivers in general maybe a little underrated. So I want to pick the Titans. I really do. So I'm just going to do it. I think it's a close game. They're at home. I think they get revenge. This is more of like I want them to win than I know they'll win type deal. I'm not super confident here, but I'm going to go with the Titans in this game. It definitely will be one where I look closely at the injury report towards Sunday to see like how that game might go. But this is probably going to be a game that I'm streaming this Sunday, so it should be fun. Okay. We got the Denver Broncos, Carolina Panthers. Let's not spend too much time on this one, Thomas. This is maybe the worst football game in the history of the NFL. We've got the worst offense maybe in the history of the NFL. The Denver Broncos taking on Sam Darnold, bro. Where do you go here?
I'm rocking with Sam Darnold.
Yes!
I think anytime the Broncos are favored, I mean, if you can get a team plus against the Broncos, just take them, because this Broncos team is horrible. So the fact that they're favorites on the road, I'm taking the home team all day long.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take Carolina plus 2.5. I'm gonna take them to win. To me, the main talking point about this game, like you said, we don't want to waste too much time on it, but the over-under is, I believe, sitting at 35.
It is unbelievably low.
Don't scratch your eyes here, people. You are seeing that correctly. 35.5 points in a football game it's embarrassing. I think after this week, we'll say once again that not only will the Broncos be 9-1 now if they had scored 18 points in a game, I think the stat's going to move to 10-1 because they're just that bad.
Can I ask you a question? Instead of, let's say the Broncos, instead of trading for Russell Wilson, if they would have traded for Aaron Rodgers, what's the Broncos' record right now?
I think it's the same thing.
Really?
Maybe one. Russell Wilson has looked very, very bad this year. I mean, Aaron Rodgers doesn't look that great either at times. But I think a lot of it is on Nathaniel Hackett. And I think he will be fired after this season.
I agree.
Denver is so tied up financially to Russell Wilson that I think they're just going to move out the coach and try again with a brand new coach next year. But yeah, if you're I know quite a few Broncos fans, and they've just told me that they're like so done with this team. They're bailing on Russell Wilson. They just don't even want to watch on Sundays anymore. That's how bad it's been for the Broncos. So give me the Panthers.
All right. I'm going to go with the Panthers. I'm going with the Panthers. You know I'm going with the Panthers. I like how the Panthers have been playing. I like the heart, the passion. I like how the defense is playing. And I think the Panthers are better at running the football. So in a bad, low-scoring game, I think the Panthers win. Period. Give me the points. Oh, boy. Thomas, go ahead.
So this is the most the Dolphins have been favored maybe in my lifetime. And I think the funny part is the last time they were favored this much was also against the Texans. I think they were 12.5-point favorites, and they lost straight up. So I don't think that's going to happen this time around. At least I hope it doesn't. This is a good team that needs to keep pace in a very, very good division and a very, very good conference. This is not a game you can lose. Miami's one of the best home teams in the entire NFL. They're coming off bye. I don't know who's going to cover Tyreek Hill. I don't know who's going to cover Jalen Waddle. And even what might be even more of a key to this game is Miami's run game with Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert. So I think this is going to be a one similar to when the Dolphins played the Browns a couple weeks ago, and I think it can get out of hand. I'm taking Miami, and I'm taking them with the points as well because this is going to be another statement. It's a lot of points, but I'm going to take them.
Yeah. Kyle Allen, QB for the Texans now, not Davis Mills. So I think that's a big deciding factor. I think this spread's going to move up. I do. Yeah. I think it's going to get to 14. So I think you're right. I think 14 is a key number in the NFL. And with Kyle Allen there, I don't have the confidence of a backdoor cover the way that I might with a Davis Mills slinging the ball around in the fourth quarter. So I'm going to take Miami both ways. I agree. I think Texans, like one of the worst, if not the worst run defense in the NFL. I think that opens up the Dolphins offense even more. That's kind of more their weakness, but they've gotten that going, is running the football with Mostert and Jeff Wilson since he's gotten there. I think that's been a nice 1-2 punch. I think they run the football late in the fourth quarter to seal this game, and I think they obviously pass the ball to get the lead with Tyreek Hill, who's basically uncoverable. So I've got the Dolphins to win like something like 34-10, something like that. It should be pretty easy. I don't see the Texans. I think they're trying to get the first pick now. I think it's official that they put Kyle Allen in. Oh, okay. Next game, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. fresh off of the bye. Thomas, 2-0 since the divorce. Key stat. Cleveland Browns at home. Jacoby Brissett's last game, unfortunately. The last game you can cheer for the Browns. Bucks -3. Who do you got in this game?
This is a really interesting matchup to me because the Browns are a great running team and the Bucks are a team that is just pretty much impossible to run on them. So I don't know. Part of me wants to see Jacoby Brissett go out on a high note. I think he's done a phenomenal job.
He has.
Tom, sorry
to interrupt you, but like, I've heard so many podcasts and people say he hasn't played well. I don't know what games they're watching. Are they watching the games?
Yeah. He's put up a lot of points in a lot of games, even last week against the Bills. Thought he was great. That Chargers narrow loss, he was really good. He was great on Monday Night Football versus the Bengals. Like, Amari Cooper has been a top 10 fantasy wide receiver this year with Jacoby Brissett throwing to him because Jacoby Brissett's been pretty good. So I think he's played his way into another job next season. I don't know where it's going to be, but I think there's a good chance he's a starter next year in one of those teams that is sort of, needs a bridge guy for a year. Maybe they have a rookie quarterback that they don't want to rush in. Quickly before we get into this game, just hats off to Jacoby Brissett because he's had a good season. Bucks and Browns. Why do I feel like the Bucks are going to go to the Super Bowl again? I know you probably feel the same way. Like,
no, I mean, this is how I honestly feel. I honestly feel it's between the Niners and the Bucks.
I think the Cowboys are a very good team as well.
I do.
The
Bucks
agree.
Are
going to get hot. They're going to get hot at the right time.
I think the Cowboys are a better team. Don't get me wrong. But in the playoffs, Tom Brady versus the Cowboys, I just don't know, man. Like, that's kind of the way I feel. Like, I mean, like, at the end result of the NFC, I think it's going to be one of those two teams. Could the Cowboys beat the Bucks and then lose to the Niners? That could also happen. But that's kind of how I'm feeling. Tampa Bay is a team that, this is a similar story to, they weren't quite as bad as they were this year at the beginning of the year as they were in 2020. But hey, that was a team that was, the 5th seed? They went 11-5. They went on a run at the end of the year. They kind of figured things out. Now, I think the Shaq Barrett loss is still something that people don't talk about enough about when it comes to the playoffs because people are starting to heat up on Tampa Bay. But this defense with Akeem Hicks is a different defense. We've seen them just be better against the run. They've dealt with a ton of injuries, especially secondary wide receiver. Offensive line's getting better, and Ryan Jensen could come back later in the year, which would be huge for them because we know how important that is to Tom Brady. And it's an older team that's coming off a bye, maybe a little bit more rested. So I don't think – did you pick this game?
I think I'm going to go with the Bucks, both.
Yeah?
Well, obviously, if I'm taking them against the spread, I'm taking them to win too. But as much as I want to see a nice farewell game for Jacoby, and I think maybe there is some upset potential here, I am going to stick with the Bucks on the road to win and cover. It's only 3 points, so I'll take that.
Yeah, I do think if the Bucks are going to be a threat in the playoffs or going to be at least a team that scares opposing NFC foes down the stretch, I think they've got to win this game, and I think they've got to handle it. I'm not saying they've got to blow the Browns out, but this is the type of matchup that does set up fairly well for Tampa, because it's strength on strength. Bucks run defense, like I said, with Hicks has been elite. Best in the league statistically when he's in there. And they're playing Nick Chubb. He didn't play very well against Buffalo. I think the Bucks do a good job there. And the passing offense, I just don't think has enough to beat the Bucks secondary. that I think is pretty underrated. On the other side, this is a Bucs offense that has kind of worked its best when it can run the ball and use the protections to play action. And I think this is the type of defense that you face in Cleveland that has trouble stopping the run, and then they can give up some big plays with a lack of discipline in the secondary. Still no idea why Joe Woods still exists as a defensive coordinator. Got the Bucs both ways here. I would be concerned if I was a Bucs fan if they do drop this game off the bye, though. I do think that would be a concerning loss. Next, Las Vegas Raiders at the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle at home. Raiders coming off an emotional victory. That was a real big deal for Josh McDaniels just to at least beat the Broncos, because we know how much he hates the Broncos and they hate him. So he swept them, which is great. But the Raiders have been struggling all year in close games. They've been the inverse Minnesota Vikings. They lose these close games. They don't win them. They haven't come up with the big plays in those moments. Seattle has been deceptively good, and I still think they're underrated. 3.5 is kind of interesting, though, because you got that hook where the Raiders could play another close game and still cover this one. So where do you lean on this matchup?
Yeah, the Raiders, everyone's quick to, flame Josh McDaniels, and I'm not the highest on him as a head coach, but are we really surprised that the Raiders record this year? This was a team that won 4 games in overtime a year ago and pretty much flew. They played these close games that are very, very hard to replicate when you're relying on a game-winning field goal every week. And I think the Raiders got very lucky in many situations last year. They're a respectable team. They're going to play teams tough, but I don't think they have enough to get things over the line. And that little small, everyone says it's a game of inches. This year, the bounces haven't gone their way. They're 3-7, and 2 of those 3 wins are against the Denver Broncos. So Seattle's a team that you said you think has a good chance to make the playoffs. Yep. This is a game that they can't lose at home. And honestly, I really like the matchup because not the highest on the Raiders defense. Don't think they're going to have an answer for Kenneth Walker. Think they're going to have their hands full with that duo of DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett as well. I don't know. I like the Seahawks to cover.
Yeah, I agree. I got the Seahawks as well, as much as I want the Raiders for Josh's sake to kind of finish the season strong. I just don't think they have enough talent. I think that's the one thing that, everyone's all over the Raiders. They got a guy named Masterton playing middle linebacker for them. Like, their corners are terrible. I don't know how they're going to cover Lockett and Metcalf here, because they've got to be able to sell out to stop Kenneth Walker. That's kind of the bread and butter of the Seahawks, is running the ball, setting up those big shots for Geno. Geno's been deadly accurate too. Like, on the money, one of the most accurate quarterbacks in football. And you give me one-on-ones for those two guys, there's going to be big plays for the Seahawks as long as it's not pouring rain in Seattle. I think the fan base is great at home. The defense, it's a bit up and down, but they're young, they're fast. I think they will give some issues to Derek Carr, and that offensive line blitzing him a little bit. We'll see how Woolen matches up with Adams. That might be a little tough there, but I think it will be an interesting game. But I think Seattle should win by about 7-ish points. I think anything more than that would be actually pretty impressive. So Seattle -3.5, the pick. Next, Los Angeles Chargers at the Arizona Cardinals. This spread dropped because of Kyler Murray. So we are going to play. I'm just going to check it. So Kyler Murray is in now. It was kind of up for debate whether he was going to play, and I didn't adjust the spread because it happened earlier today, but I think the spread is now 3. So It's dropped 1.5 points, which I think is a lot for this game in particular. Where do you go here with Kyler Murray news, potentially Marquise Brown playing as well for the Cardinals with DeAndre Hopkins versus a Chargers team that's beat up? We don't know who's playing, who's not playing, but Justin Herbert is there as well.
Just as bad as the Cardinals have been at home recently, like this spans to the back half of last season, they've just been a horrible team at home.
Yeah.
I kind of like them in this spot. They just got embarrassed on Monday Night Football. The Chargers just played a really hard game where they probably should have won on Sunday Night Football. And to me, this is just setting up perfectly to be the classic Los Angeles Chargers. I think they're turning a corner. They're playing in close games. They're losing. And then they go and they lose to an inferior opponent, and it really hurts their chances to make the playoffs. Then week 17, 18, they need to win both games, and they need help from other teams to get in. That's just the way I view this Brandon Staley team. Chargers are up there with one of the biggest disappointments in the NFL for me this year. I'm going to go with Kyler Murray to pull off, which, it's not the biggest upset, but it's an upset. They're two talented quarterbacks going at it. And I think Kyler in the end is going to pull through because, let's be honest, Herbert just does not have the greatest of weapons in LA this year.
Yeah, I'm not really sure who's playing at wide receiver for the Chargers. It looks like Mike Williams limited this week. I'm not sure about Keenan Allen. I think he probably plays.
Yeah.
I think.
Hey, Josh Palmer, we got to give love to a Canadian and Josh Palmer. He's having a good season. So
Josh Palmer played really well in that Chiefs game. He did. And Carter's been nice too. I actually like Carter a little bit. But Herbert elevates those guys, I do feel like. Defensively is really the issue for me with the Chargers. If this was 4.5 still, I think I'd go with the Cardinals to cover because I just don't trust the Chargers defense. Apparently they have all pros at every level. They've got a defensive mastermind that doesn't stop anybody. They can't stop the run. I think they're the most, they're always the most overrated. Like people were saying, oh yeah, they were playing great against the Chiefs. Well, they match up really well against the Chiefs. They play them really well every game, no matter what. But then they play terrible against everybody else. So it's like, I could see the Cardinals putting up some points, especially if Marquise is in there. I think they're going to be dangerous offensively. But 3 points, I want to go with the Chargers. I do want to go with the Chargers. I want to trust Herbert here. I want to trust that offense. I think that the strength of the Chargers offense this year, for as much as everyone gets on them for not having enough big plays in the offense, I think they do a good job of being kind of like surgical underneath and picking apart those coverages of opposing defenses. And I think just like Jimmy Garoppolo did on Monday night, I think they can find some ways to Herbert just surgically 5, 7 yards, 8 yards, just move the ball down the field, control the game through their offense, and win this game. I just have too many issues with the Cardinals in terms of what's going on with the locker room, what's going on with that team, what's going on with Cliff Kingsbury. So I'll take the Chargers here both ways. But this might actually land right on the number. I wouldn't be surprised.
Is this the Sean Payton Bowl this week? The loser of this game Sean Payton will coach next year.
I think Sean Payton would love to coach the Chargers. I'm not sure about the Cardinals. I'm not. I don't know if, as much as everybody is infatuated with Kyler Murray, I don't know if Kyler Murray is his type of quarterback. I think he would preferred Herbert, but I think he likes those like pocket passer type guys, but I'm not sure. We'll see. I do think Chargers though. I hope he goes to the Chargers. Rams and Chiefs. No Stafford, no Cup, no heart, no soul. We got Sean McCabo coaching the Rams here versus Thomas's favorite team, the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes boy, MVP. I will say it, MVP. Maybe Tyreek Hill. Chiefs minus 15. What do you think, Thomas?
If you told me in August that the Chiefs and the Rams would play Thanksgiving weekend and the Chiefs would be 15-point favorites.
They were your number one pick in the draft, Thomas.
Yeah, I mean it's the Lions pick. So that's what makes it even worse.
No, they were your number one pick, the Rams.
Oh, the Rams. Yeah, they were my number one pick in the draft. Yeah, it's embarrassing. The Rams have been a complete and utter disaster. They've taken the term Super Bowl hangover to a whole new level this year. So, I mean, 15 points is a lot.
It's insane.
But is there any reason we should have even a sliver of confidence in the Los Angeles Rams right now?
Maybe.
Like, am I really crazy for picking the Chiefs minus 15?
No, I don't think you are.
I think this could just get uglier.
I think the only way I'd pick the Rams if it was like 17. If it was like 3 scores, I think I'd pick. And the only thing that concerns me is the Chiefs aren't great at covering big spreads. They're not very good against the number in general because usually their spreads are inflated because of obvious reasons. But this is a Rams team that's absolutely dreadful. And in fact, I see it now at 15.5. It's only moving up. So I think everyone's all over the Chiefs. Their offense, I think, no matter who's in there, just moves the ball on anybody, basically. And defensively, they can make some plays here against a terrible, terrible, terrible offense. Is it crazy to say this is the worst offense in the NFL?
I think it's, even with Cooper Kupp, it was one of the worst offenses in the NFL, just because, they're so reliant on him. They got nothing past 10 yards, and the run game is a disaster. I mean, what are they doing?
Historically,
waving Darrell Henderson. They still got Cam Akers on the roster. Now they're using guys who have never touched the ball before. The more we talk, the more I'm confident that the Chiefs are going to cover minus 15, even though it's not something I don't think I would bet personally if I'm picking just 2 or 3 games. For the stream, I'm gonna go minus 15 just because I got zero confidence in the Rams right now.
Yeah, I'm thinking like 31-10 Chiefs. So that's a cover.
I think that's a good number.
Yeah. So that's a cover. I'm going Chiefs. All right, next up, we got the New Orleans Saints at the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers coming back from Mexico, which could be a big deal, I guess. That's a big game. I guess it's a big spotlight game. You get up for that game. Now you're back at home feeling confident. Everybody's writing the headlines for you about how you're going to the Super Bowl, including the BLV. And yeah, everyone's just excited about the Niners and Jimmy Garoppolo and all that sort of stuff, playing his best football apparently. So is this a game where the Saints kind of make it more interesting, or do you just believe that much in the Niners to be able to just take care of business here?
I think the Saints had a really nice showing against the Rams last week. Andy Dalton had a very, very good game. The thing about the Saints is I don't think they're a very well-coached football team. And it's not that often that a well-coached football team goes out against 2 NFC West opponents. I know how bad the Rams are, but now we're talking about the 49ers and really show it well. The way the 49ers were playing last week, and that was against the Cardinals. Yeah. The Saints don't offer the versatility on offense that the Cardinals do. And the 49ers shut down the Cardinals. I think Andy Dalton is in for a day that really brings him back down to earth. The way the Saints have used Alvin Kamara this year has just been meh, to put it best. He really hasn't gotten going. I would use him way more in the receiving game. Really, when it comes to the Saints, you shut down Chris Olave, which I think the 49ers will, and I think you'll have a good day. I don't know if the 49ers will score at will like they did against the Cardinals, but I think they could win something like 23-10 here. So I'm going to take them. I'm going to take them, and I'm going to take the points.
Interesting. I don't really know what to do with the spread. I honestly kind of feel like taking the Saints. Looks like Cameron Jordan limited, Lattimore limited. A lot of limited here. I don't know if that's good or bad. Because the defensive linemen for the Saints, Jordan and Davenport, didn't play last week. And that's how bad the Rams offense is. So I think I'm going to take the 9.5 just for the sole reason of I love the Niners. I'm a big fan of the Niners. Obviously, Shanahan, all that stuff. I think this is a little bit of a let down, just a little bit. I think they're going to win, but I think it's going to be a little bit closer. I think the Saints' offense is competent. I think they can run it a bit. I think they can throw it a bit. And as long as they don't turn it over multiple times, I think they'll make it interesting. And you never know when you're going to get maybe bad Jimmy, at least for a half or something.
That's fair.
So I think I'll take the 9.5. But then again, at the beginning of the week, last week, I was thinking, Cardinals are going to cover. And by the end of the week, I was like, Niners are going to destroy them. So my opinion may change. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Saints with the points. Niners to win. Next, we've got the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles. This is Sunday Night Football, right, Thomas?
Yep. Packers on primetime again. What a treat. What a treat for us all.
Why do we keep having to watch this football team, this Matt LaFleur pumping up the crowd, and we got Aaron Rodgers just pouting the whole game? At least we get to watch my boy Christian Watson on primetime. The Eagles -7, which I think is real interesting. I could see them crushing the Packers. I could also see this game coming down to the wire. Do you feel confident enough with how the Eagles are playing right now to lay 7 with Philadelphia here?
Yeah, I'm really back and forth on this one. Part of me thinks, okay, you know what, the Eagles, it's Sunday Night Football. 2 weeks ago was Monday Night Football where they got their first loss, and they were second best in that one. They were embarrassed.
Yeah.
Part of me thinks this is a great opportunity for them to, on a national stage, show that the last 2 weeks were just a fluke and really come out and play a complete football game and run the Packers out and just put them further into misery than they already are. The other part of me thinks, hey, maybe Aaron Rodgers has some left in the tank. Sunday Night Football against the Bills a couple weeks ago was a good showing from the Packers. I mean, Aaron Jones was running all day long, and I still think Aaron Jones is the ultimate catalyst in this Packers offense, and they just don't use him enough. It depends if Jordan Davis is ready to go for those Eagles, but I mean, so. They missed him the past 2 weeks. So I'm going to take the Packers. I really think I'm going to take them to cover the spread.
Okay.
I think it'll be a close one, but I'm going to take the Eagles to win, Packers to cover. I'm sort of going to be a little safer, but I like Rodgers. Rodgers has some very good numbers and a very good record against the Philadelphia Eagles in his career. So give me the Packers to cover.
This one's tough because I'm really scared of Joe Barry in general trying to like defend Jalen Hurts. Like, I just think that's not a good matchup. Like, Joe Barry is not the smartest man in my opinion. And the front 7 of the Packers does have problems against the run. Like, I think the Eagles can run the ball here, and typically in those matchups, I like the Eagles. It really is that simple. If you can stop the run, I think teams can hang around, like Washington. I don't like how their offense is playing right now, though. I don't. Defensively, I don't have a ton of trust in their run defense, like you said, without Jordan Davis. They did bring in Sue, they brought in Joseph, and I thought they did okay last week. I thought Sue had like half a sack. He made some plays. But Aaron Jones, the run game of the Packers, I think is still one of the better ones in the league. I do. I think I'm going to take the points. I'm going to take the points. I agree with you. I like the way that Rodgers, I know that people have been critical of him. I like how Rodgers, I think only he and Tom Brady truly have this, where they're such great managers of the game. The way that they play the clock, the line of scrimmage, the little things that they do to make the games really close and sway towards their side. I think Rodgers does a very good job of allowing his team to be in the game through how he controls and manipulates the possession. So I think that plays a factor, knowing that Rodgers, probably his team is a little bit shorthanded on the other side of the ball. I think that they do a good job of possessing the ball like Washington did and limiting the possessions of the Eagles. And I think that keeps this game close. But at the end of the day, I just don't trust Joe Barry enough to beat Jalen Hurts. So I will take the Eagles to win, Packers to cover. I agree with you. The final game, Thomas. Perhaps the game of the week. We got Jeff Saturday with his ESPN buddies on Monday Night Football at home. He's going to be so excited. And he's taking on Mike Tomlin. Rah, Mike Tomlin as an underdog here. Kenny Pickett maybe played his best game all year against the Bengals. But it's Matty Ice. Matty Ice is back, taking sacks in the fourth quarter in vintage form. What do you think, Thomas?
You know what? I will say I was going to sort of make fun of this game being Monday Night Football, two teams that aren't so great. I am kind of excited to watch Kenny Pickett again. You said he played well last week. I think he did as well. When the Steelers played on Sunday Night Football against Miami, he threw 3 picks in that game. I also thought he played well. I mean, I didn't think the stat line was very telling of how he actually played. So I'm excited to see what Kenny Pickett has, especially in a primetime setting once again. That being said, I like the Colts here. I think we can declare Jonathan Taylor as back. I think we can do that. Matt Ryan has had an up and down year, but then you also look at the fact that he has all these fourth quarter comebacks and all these game-winning drives. And it's like, hey, maybe this team is better when he's back there.
Oh, he's definitely. They're definitely better.
They're way
Sam
better.
Ellinger is not it. I'm sorry, Tom. He's not it.
And Jeff Saturday, he was Jeff Sunday the past 2 weeks. I thought he had them playing hard, which is good to see from an interim coach.
You do more for the Colts than Jeff Saturday does on Sundays. Come on.
Well, he's gonna have to be Jeff Monday this week, and I think we're gonna be singing his praises Monday night. Give me the Colts to win and with the points. I think they're gonna somehow stay alive, even though there'll be a long shot. They're gonna stay alive with long shot playoff hopes, especially if the Jets lose this week too, which I believe I went the Bears. So give me and hey, maybe if your Patriots surrender tomorrow night to the Vikings.
Nah, no chance. Monday night, I don't know who to pick. I don't know who to pick, man. You know what? Kaylee gave me $50. She's a Steelers fan. I'm going with the Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers, baby. I'm going to take Mike Tomlin as a dog. Kenny Pickett. Move over Jeff Sunday. Okay? He's no Jeff Monday, as Thomas said. I think Jeff Monday will be reading all the clippings. He'll be all excited to go back to ESPN, get an interview. Oh, he's going to be feeling himself. They're going to lose. Now, I like the Colts defense, but for some reason, I just see TJ Watt strip sack on Matt Ryan changing this game. I just feel it. I think the Colts offensive line is still a major weakness in the pass protection department. Maybe they run the ball. They could with Jonathan Taylor, as you said, but I think they have problems there. Yeah, and I think Kenny Pickett makes a couple plays running around and extending plays, and these receivers are talented for the Steelers. So, yeah, I'll take the Steelers. Why not? Let's take the Steelers as the dog, and let's disagree to end the show, Thomas. How about that? That is all. That is it. How do you feel?
I mean, it's nice. No bye weeks this week.
No.
So we got 16 games. I'm gonna say I sit here with a 10-6 record straight up. I think that's
pretty good.
Respectable enough on this show. I know you're used to going 11-2.
Oh no, I'm not. That was a good week.
Here, but I think I can pick 10 winners for you.
All right. Well, we'll see who does better. I don't know if we have a little contest going on for that. Maybe we'll have to draw it up.
Yeah, I'm already in too deep with you with this Mac Jones post that I'm gonna have to create. So
yeah,
I don't know if
Mac
it's in my
Jones'
best interest.
Touchdown interception ratio it gets above negative, we're gonna be talking. I mean, I don't know what it is right now, but when the Patriots and Dolphins, we're gonna have a big game. We might have to stream that. I don't know what you're gonna be doing.
Yeah,
but that's a big game. That's a big game later in the year. So it was nice to have you on and get your sense and your thoughts about these teams in a different perspective for the viewers out there. I know everybody enjoyed it. Do you want to shout anything out for Catch the Blitz, what you guys got going on over there?
Yeah, sure. Check out our podcast. It's on YouTube. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, really wherever you can listen to anything, it's there. We do it every Tuesday, and it's pretty much not what we did today in terms of a preview of the week, but a recap of the week. So check that out if you want to listen to some more NFL content. And thanks for having me on the show today, Mitch. It was a ton of fun.
Yeah, no problem, man. And thanks, guys, for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to Gronk Spike that like button and subscribe to the channel for more BLV. In terms of more videos coming up from me, look out for tomorrow in terms of streams. I am not going to be doing the Patriots game, and the reason is I actually got invited to my buddy's place. He's a huge Vikings fan. Whole basement is Vikings. Got purple walls, all the stuff. So we're going to be watching the game. I'm going to be watching the Patriots defense sack Kirk Cousins. It's going to be great. So I won't be live streaming it, unfortunately. I also thought it's Thanksgiving night, so people are probably going to be busy with their families. But I will be streaming the Cowboys Giants game for you guys, so make sure to tune into that if you've got a chance. And also, best bets for Thanksgiving coming tonight later, and best bets for the week is coming tomorrow. So thanks, guys, for watching. It's Mitch, Thomas from Catch the Blitz. Peace.